that young people are talking about it and show efforts to change it. I think it's a good thing, yeah. There are a lot of ideas, but actually I'm not very into it. I mean, I try my best, but yeah.
I haven't watched the speech. I've kind of read like cliff notes. It's a really hard question because obviously climate change is an issue, and I think that we need to step up and make a change, but the world leaders are never going to do it, you know. We need to do it as a people, and we need to start changing the way we're living, start speaking about not using plastic bags and buying products that aren't and things that are plastic contained, and making a difference ourselves and our families and our lives, and that will start to make a difference. But if we're waiting for world leaders to do something, we're going to be waiting until the world ends, you know.
I haven't seen her speech. I think it's very brave of her to speak in front of so many different people. I think people need to sort of wake up to climate change. It's obviously a real thing, and if you're not going to do something about it, then you're a bad person. It's plain and simple.
I think it's really good that the younger generation stands up to combat climate change. I think that's a very good thing, and I think it's good that young people get such a big stage to say what they have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear the speech, but she's very present in like Europe, of course, because I think it's very important for us in Austria. There is a big movement, even from young people, from very young people, like 7 to 15 years old. I mean, I would say like from 7 to university students, whatever. And the whole thing about caring about the environment is really a hype right now, and it's very good that it is. Totally do. Like I don't even use my car or whatever in Austria, even though I have a car, but I just use it for traveling, and I just go by bike. I eat no meat. Basically I'm vegetarian, so because it's one of the biggest climate factors in terms of climate destroying of the whole environment and climate, and so we actually do care a lot about it, and it's very important, I think, and it's time to move. It's time to do something about it.
It's a Greta Thunberg, right? Yeah. Well, I think she's doing great, and I think it makes sense that she is so forward to it. Like, she is really vocal about it because she's super young, and all the young generation, they are seeing that the planet is going to be collapsing or in the brink of the collapse really soon. So I understand that they see it as a really urgent thing to do. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make that much difference, because I think the power is on the companies, on the huge companies, and those companies are the ones who tell politicians what to do.
You can see from a lot of the reactions already that her speech has had is that there's been a lot of, I think, cynicism in their response, as in, she's right and we have to do something. There's a lot of talking about doing something and not actually any factual, realistic talk about what should be done, or what can we do. And I think there's also been a lot of criticism of her, completely irrelevant criticism of her manner in which she delivered the speech, which I think is completely irrelevant. She's portrayed as this really angry teenager, just sort of screaming things and acting out like she's a thespian, like, oh my God. And I think that's very irrelevant, and taking the focus entirely away from what she's actually saying. And again, lots of politicians saying, oh, we should do something, and not actually any real concrete talk of measures.
She's also she raised the most important point, because she always I think media try to make us, the public, be more aware of climate change. But even with all individual changes, if we try to be more environmentally conscious, we are not going to make that much change, because the problem are the companies and the empire, oil, fossil fuels, plastics, in food industry. It's like, it's so much more, and she goes directly into that. It's like, don't put the responsibility in the citizen, because they don't have, they cannot do anything. It's you, governments, and people with the power and with wealth.
It's a very, very simple example right here at the entrance of this really beautiful mosque, where you're supposed to take off your shoes. Instead of you know, instead of carrying your shoes, which I thought is what we were going to do, you have rolls and rolls and rolls of plastic bags, which I have actually here because I haven't gotten. So you have tons of plastic bags, which you're using exactly once because you're just putting your shoes in it. And then obviously you're not going to use it for anything else because your shoes were in it. So it ends up in the bin or in some of the flower beds, which I've seen. When you go to the bazaar, I mean, you know, you get everything in plastic containers, you get plastic straws, and I mean, and it's everywhere the same. So it's all fair and nice to say, you know, plastic is ruining it, you should use less plastic. But then there should also be alternatives or just like ways of, you know, encouraging people to, of course we should all use less, but if you use less and it's still all around you, it's not seemingly making any difference. So what to do?
We sound quite pessimistic,
Yeah.
to be honest. But yeah, it's. I think it is like that. Either people in
Catching us on a
power.
good day. We can be a lot more depressing than that.
Yeah, but yeah. I think either people in power they do something, or it's not really going to change.
Just like practical everyday measures that you can, it's just not all up to the individual. I mean, everyone can do small bits by themselves, which would make a difference, but the infrastructure needs to be there for you to make changes.
I think that Greta Thunberg is amazing, and her speech yesterday really made me reflect a lot. I'm a little bit older, and I feel like my generation has kind of let the younger generation down a lot, and it's really inspiring to see her and her peers standing up and saying, "Now you have to do something." I just hope that something is done, really, because she's right. We're gonna die, basically. So yeah.
I think it's really, really fantastic. All of the, I guess, protesting and action that's been happening across the world. I haven't seen any like footage of the actual summit, but I think that it's really awesome that young people are banding together and fighting for, or I guess speaking up about a really important cause. So I think it's really great that it's all taking place now.
I think that it's way beyond the point where we should be talking about this. I'm so glad that it has a figurehead now, and that someone like her who's so young is at the helm. And it's really exciting that it's been such an international movement. And yeah, it makes me feel hopeful for the first time in a long time that maybe there'll be some sort of governmental change around climate change.
I think her speech was amazing. I know that there's been a lot of support for her. I think that it is really wonderful it's wonderful and sad at the same time that it takes someone like her who is so young and she's so passionate, and it's also sad that it takes that much for people to end up listening. I believe, well, I think that if you don't believe that you are a part of a system that is much larger than you, then it's going to be hard. I think that we're a part of a much larger system that we believe, and that it's our responsibility to take care of it because we are not above it, we are one with it. That should be enough reason to try to take care of it. But I also don't think that it's easy to convince people of that, and it's tough. It's really tough. I don't know what the correct answer is. I try to do my best to live in a very humble way. I know I can do much better, but live a life that is simple, that is thoughtful, that is mindful. And the more I do that, the more I have a chance to connect with the home that I have and see that I am a part of a system that allows me to live happily and comfortably. And it makes me want to live more simply and more in accordance with that. And I think also in accordance with that, it means that you sort of live and let live with other people. And I think that's probably the tough part, is that I think a part of that is seeing that the more push we try to make people do something, the more they're going to resist. So I think that the only way to probably change things is to just live that way yourself, very mindfully and quietly, and hopefully by example other people start to change. But I don't think that forcing people to believe something or forcing people to change their way of living is going to do any good. So it's a tough thing. I think that and every time that I have wanted to push someone in a direction, it means that I'm probably not living that way enough myself. So I try to be quiet and dig in a little bit more to myself and see if I can change myself a bit more.